I know how to balance the scales now. And what a freeing feeling it is to be able to do all of those things and not feel like I'm a prisoner, like I have to fear food or fear going out. There's such a freedom in that. And if anybody is out there and they're feeling that it's so hard to get out of that mentality, I want to give you hope that you absolutely can escape that. There is a way to move beyond that, and it's not too late. You're not too old. You haven't ruined your metabolism, and you're not doomed to be where you are forever. So it's all possible and it's all there waiting for you.
Welcome back to the Sunshine Cafe, where we pour positive back into your day, sharing stories from real people who have made it through some real struggles, but were able to restore their health, hope, and peace. I'm Lisa Roers, your host, and as a certified coach, I'm here to guide you to be your best self-advocate, to help you restore your health, ignite your faith, and conquer those fears while you navigate your own healing journey so you can eventually exchange your dis-ease for durability. If you're looking for hope and encouragement to live a life you love, then you're in the right place. Let's dive in. Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Sunshine Cafe. My guest today is the amazing Jen Steigert, who is a health and nutrition expert. Jen works as a certified personal trainer and is also founder of GenFit, an organization dedicated to helping women over 40 achieve sustainable weight loss and regain their confidence through her transformative program called the 360 Body Confident Blueprint. Jen loves working with men and women to help them find a balanced lifestyle that they can maintain consistently, and that all starts by addressing our mindset, our nutrition, and our habits. Let's dive in. Hello and welcome back to the Sunshine Cafe. I'm Lisa Roers, your host, and today I have Jen Steigert with us to share her wisdom and insights. Jen is owner of GenFit Health Coaching, and she has some really encouraging words to tell all of us here at the end of the year as we're trying to gear up for those resolutions that are coming in January. So I would like to welcome you to the show, Jen. Thank you for being with us today.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Lisa, for having me here. I'm really excited to be a part of this.
I think the whole journey of our health, obviously, it's so universal because everybody has to deal with their health. It's like these bodies we live in need maintenance. And sometimes we get so distracted. Like sometimes you get distracted with the house and then you're like, oh my goodness, I haven't changed the sheets for way too long. I need to get on that. It's kind of like that with our bodies. We forget that these bodies require maintenance. And you have a beautiful journey that I know has brought you to where you are now with GenFit Health Coaching. And so let's, as a point of introduction, let's start there, kind of how this passion got put on your heart and how you ended up getting into the health coaching area.
Sure. So interestingly, it starts from way back when I was just a kid. As a child, my parents got divorced, and I remember that being pretty traumatic and lots of time on your hands. I was a latchkey kid. I would get home from school, and well, what kind of things did you do to occupy yourself but TV shows and snacks?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so when you're young, you have the wonderful gift of being able to, have a fast metabolism. And I didn't notice the effects so much. I didn't even think about it. I mean, sugar all the time, ice cream every night, candy, you name it. It was in excess, lots of processed foods. And that stayed with me. That definitely stayed with me even into high school. So I remember when I got my license, and if you can believe it, the number one place that I was the most excited to go to was fast food places on my lunch. So I actually remember going to McDonald's for the French fries, Burger King for the burgers. And I mean, that's how addicted to processed food and soda pop, candy, sweets, you name it. As I got a little bit older in that high school, teen years, my friends knew me as the pie queen. I was known for my apple pies, and
Making them
it's
or eating them?
both, of course. Uh, any kind of comfort food. And it wasn't until probably in those late teens that I started to notice the effects because in my younger years, I was so active. I grew up taking dance classes. I was very passionate about dance. So my food habits really just didn't affect me very much. And I had no idea that there was an emotional, psychological tie to my food choices. So it was a coping mechanism in a lot of ways.
Hmm.
And when I stopped taking dance class, I became less active and I started to put on weight. And I did not like the way that I looked. Um, at about that time, I started picking up the bad habit of negative self-talk and being really hard on myself and trying diet programs and failing miserably. And the entire process just was awful. Um, I remember doing pretty much every diet under the sun from Atkins. The South Beach diet was very popular, the Slim Fast shakes, the Jenny Craig program, you name it, I have pretty much done it. In fact, I remember at one point I had the guy that I was dating at the time was like, Jen, it's no big deal. Just don't eat. Every time you don't eat, just think of it as your body eating a serving of fat. And while I will say, as a professional, there is absolutely nothing wrong with fasting, from spiritual benefits to tremendous health benefits, I'm going to say there's an art to it. It should be something that is really well understood, and you should be at a place in your journey where you can handle fasting. So, this is no disrespect to fasting, but the way that I took the approach of doing it as a form of like torture was definitely not healthy. Over exercising, doing cardio, you name it, I have done all of those things.
Oh my goodness. You heard me laughing here a couple seconds ago because you were going to the litany of all the different diets. And I'm like, oh, yep, done that. Yep, done that. Yep. Down the list. I think you, me, and a lot of the listeners that are tuning in right now are shaking their heads. Yep, been there, done that. So, what changed things for you?
So, at one point, I moved away. I was in the middle of nowhere. I needed to do a change. I wanted to just turn everything around. And because I didn't know anybody, I was living on hundreds of acres in the middle of nowhere. I had the time on my hands and I got into fitness. I started working out. And from there, I started experimenting with healthy recipes, lots of hiking, spending time in nature,
Hmm.
and just made a big turnaround for myself personally and spiritually, I would say as well. I got a job at a health food store in town and started helping other people. I was helping them with their supplements. I became completely enthralled with natural health or holistic health, as some people might call it, the use of supplements, exercise, healthy eating, all of the things. I just really became very passionate about them and went in the other direction, transform my body, transform my mindset and my health. And that wasn't a sudden process, that was an evolution. And we'll talk about some of those things and as far as the mindset goes. But yeah, the health food store was definitely a starting point. And from there, I became inspired to share that with others. So I became a certified personal trainer. So that was step one in my journey. My first official job in fitness was with Lifetime. That was back in the early 2000s. And the journey didn't stop there. Once I got hired there, I loved helping people with fitness. And what I found was that in the process of working around other professionals, I became exposed to everything from chiropractors who were doing fitness, bodybuilders, and people who were also well versed in nutrition. And it was then that I learned a little bit more of the rigid side of nutrition. And I think what happened was I got into my own head. I think a lot of other women also struggle. We don't realize it, but we try to follow all of these rules to a T, and we make it into something that it doesn't need to be. That's really what happened to me. So I learned about good nutrition and tried to follow it so perfectly that I actually put so much pressure on myself that I ended up overeating. I would be good, as you would call it, all day, go into work, and I would talk to my clients about all of the things to do for fitness and nutrition. But then I'd go home at night stressed out. Um, I didn't always prioritize my own health because I prioritized everybody else's goals.
Hmm.
And I started to fall by the wayside. So trying to juggle and balance all of the things, balance is such an important part, right? But whether you're a busy career woman who's got a tremendous amount of responsibility, or you're a housewife and you're responsible for your family, you still have to remember to prioritize your own health because we cannot give from an empty cup. And that was part of my journey and my lesson. I really struggled with that. I literally can remember um, over binging, just going nuts with my food late at night and feeling sick to my stomach, Lisa. I mean, I felt sick. I would eat so much food. And then I wake up the next day with tremendous guilt. And I would promise myself that I would be better today. I remember having this one printout from a magazine or some sort of some sort of image, and it was a woman saying in front of the mirror, "Nothing feels as good as being skinny." I mean, what an unhealthy thought. Like, meaning don't worry about all of the food that's out there. Like, just stay focused on being skinny. And that was what I was holding on to try to keep myself motivated. And that's where I was. So now I'm back in another struggle with my weight. Believe it or not, as a personal trainer, I started gaining weight. I began really struggling with imposter syndrome, feeling like, who am I to be telling my clients? And I was passionate, I was knowledgeable, and I was helping them, most importantly. I mean, I was making a positive impact, yet I could not get out of my own head.
Yeah.
And I was being so hard on myself that I just made everything so much harder than it needed to be. So that journey continued. I would have times where I would lose weight and then times where it would come back on. And I literally let the scale dictate my mood.
Oh, goodness. I can so relate with that. I'm sure a lot of people can.
Yeah. And it's a hard place to be in. It's tormenting to feel like you can't go to the party. You can't go to the holiday get together. You can't go on the vacation. Friends would invite me out, oh, let's go out on the boat. But I thought, gosh, I'm going to have to be in a bathing suit. And well, I'm the personal trainer and I can't have any fat on my stomach. They can't see me like this. So I would either beat myself up with a diet to try to feel good enough, or I wouldn't go. Do you
Mm.
know how many times I passed up on going to events that I genuinely wanted to be a part of? And I denied myself that opportunity because I didn't feel like I was worthy because of how I looked, you know?
Yeah.
Um, so from there, things really started to turn around when I became exposed to a couple of different things. The power of our mindset and our ability to do anything in life, but definitely in this topic with weight loss, the things we think, they really, really make such an impact. So if you believe that something is hard, it's going to be harder. If
Mhm.
you believe that working out is painful, if you believe that you have to be on a diet in order to lose weight, that's going to make the journey more challenging. And on the contrary, if you adopt the mindset that, okay, I am where I am and I deserve to feel good. I deserve to love myself. I deserve to enjoy the journey. and you allow yourself that breathing room that I don't have to be perfect and I can take little baby steps, then the load gets a little bit lighter. Things start to become easier. Um, and, I will also say that at that time, I was not a Christian, but I am now. And
Mm.
I do really want to say what a difference I think that knowing God and knowing who He is and knowing His promise for us, what a difference that makes in our journey and having Him there with us through every single thing, and that through God, all things are possible. I can do all things through Christ. Having that in my head makes it so much easier, just so much lighter. And then I also met a friend who had their own challenges in health and wellness. And ultimately, they were further along down the road
Okay.
and they offered to help me. I was in a moment of weakness, just talking about my imposter syndrome, and they knew exactly what I was talking about. And they just, out of an act of kindness, offered to mentor me and kind of just handhold, in the journey. And can I tell you what a difference that made for me? Just having somebody to share those rough spots, it just makes such a difference to be able to have somebody who was a little bit further down the road and they know what you're going through, they know the thought processes,
Mhm.
and they can help you to get out of your own head, out of your own way, and over those humps and hills so you could break through those roadblocks. And ultimately it was those things, the mindset, the coaching, that really helped me to get past it. And from there, I became inspired to become a certified nutritionist. And over that time, I also became a yoga instructor. So I took on the training for that because,
Mm.
again, your mindset and yoga for me helped me to get out of my own head. I think that was such a big part of it, was just getting out of my own head. So all of these things really gave me a tremendous amount of tools. Our behaviors, our little habits and actions, they all matter. We like to think that it's finding the right diet. It's getting this magic formula, and
Mhm.
that if I could just get it, I will be better. I will be fixed. But
Mhm.
it isn't what we think at all. Um, so it's a lot of the little things that begin to build momentum and add up, and the little things are the big things. And that's what I've come to find. And in my years of coaching and the hundreds of women that I've helped, women and men, truthfully, it wasn't until later in the journey that I chose to specialize in helping women, just because I was noticing that I was attracting other women like myself who were kind of type A, very ambitious, very driven, and very hard on themselves, very perfectionist. And I knew how to help them. I knew what they were thinking. I knew what they were struggling with. So that's why I chose to, specialize in that area.
Love that. Oh my goodness, there's so many rich truths that you had mentioned. I took some notes here. It's just the truth that when you're making any kind of big life change, whether it's business or whether it's schooling or whether it's an addiction or whatever it might be, we always need help, someone to come alongside us. And yet I think there's some shame or there's some mindset guilt that's baked into this whole weight issue that we feel like, no, I got myself here. I got to get myself out of it. Or it's not
Yeah.
something I can reach out to someone for. But in fact, it is the exact thing that we need someone to come alongside us to help us through it. So I love that you had said, I deserve to do this for myself. And the beautiful thing about it all is you are actually giving not only yourself a gift, but you're giving your family and all the other people that you're not showing up for right now because you just don't feel like showing up, like you were saying earlier. But you're giving yourself, your family, and all of those that you could impact a gift because all of a sudden you're showing up instead of hiding. So that's a beautiful thing. And your point about we make it harder than we need to. We do. We really do. One of the things that you mentioned that I think is worth circling back to is moving from kind of knowing what to do doing what we know. It's like we've got the head knowledge, but we don't know always how to implement it. And it can be really overwhelming when you think, okay, I've got to do this, 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 and this. I've got these supplements over here, here, here. I got to do this workout these days on these muscle groups. And it starts to get almost like an obsession where
Yeah.
you said earlier, like you can't enjoy it because all of a sudden you are trying to be such a perfectionist about the process that you can't actually implement the process. That, or you have one person telling you this thing is good for you, and the next person you talk to saying, oh, that same thing is actually not good for you. So, how do you help your clients sift through all of the perfectionism that goes along with this process?
Well, first of all, you're right about all of those things. And I just want to add to that as well. I think one thing that I've encountered in talking with so many different women, successful women, and I don't mean successful just financially or in their career status. I mean, driven women who, whether they're passionate about their home life and raising their children, I mean, these women are very, very passionate. They're very driven and they're very knowledgeable. And they're used to taking the bull by the horn, so to speak. So I think in their minds, one of the other things that I will add to what you were saying, the perfectionism and I know what to do, but I just need to do it. Those things are all true. The other thing is they think I've succeeded in my career. I've accomplished all of these things. What the heck is wrong with me that I can't figure this thing out? All the information's out there. I know I've done all of these different diets and programs. I've read all of the books. It's here in my head. So that's what the message that they're telling themselves in their head.
Yeah.
And I understand, I can relate to it because I was there in the career. But here's the thing, what I've found, the number one thing that I think is most helpful is to take a step back,
Mm.
become a little bit humble, to say, okay, you know, I'm surrendering to you, God. I'm giving this over to you. I think also surrendering on the level that I'm going to be willing to have a childlike attitude and approach that I don't know all of the things because I
Mm.
think having that attitude, it makes us a little bit harder to be coached.
Mm.
And we need to adopt the mindset that maybe I don't know what I don't know, right? Because the truth is, it's not about all of the head knowledge. I think the key thing that we need to do is take a different mindset, take a step back, and then step forward ultimately, but with a little bit lighter load on our shoulders, meaning, okay, we're not going to try to do all of the things. We're going to just do one and we're going to rock it. We're going to do really well with that one thing. And, we're going to celebrate when we do it. We're going to focus on those wins, no matter how small, no matter how simple. Because when I start coaching with women, almost always inevitably, they're like, really, Jen? Like, that's what you want me to focus on right now? Is that simple habit? Yes, I do. But that's so easy. Okay, awesome. If you can do that one habit, then knock it out of the park and we're going to celebrate it. Because what I found is we become so used to beating ourselves up, so used to setting the bar so high, and then we can't do it. And if we can't do it for very long, right?
Mm.
Because with anything in life, the key is going to be consistency. That's where we become more powerful.
Mhm.
So if we're not doing it consistently and we're not feeling good about it, then we're going to fall down and we're going to need to step away to kind of recollect ourselves. But then we've got to go through that whole process of starting over again. And it's not fun. It's just
No.
not one place when you've done it a million times before.
Right.
So, what I want to see for women and what I'm encouraging everyone who's listening today is to focus on those small wins. Just allow yourself to be able to experience doing something that is super simple and doing it well. So, what might that look like? Maybe it's your steps. First of all, maybe just becoming aware of how much you're moving. And let's just say if you were starting with the pedometer and you see, okay, I'm taking about 2,000 steps in a day, then going to 4,000, setting the goal at 4,000, right? And you do that for a week, maybe 2 weeks, depending on how consistent you're able to be. But you want to do it consistently for a period of about 1, maybe 2 weeks. And then you can add another thing. Maybe it's hydrating, focusing on drinking enough water. It's the simple things that make such a big difference.
Mm,
I've done a 5-day challenge before, and it is so cool to see so many women doing the simple things in that challenge, like drinking water, like moving more, sneaking movement into your day. And what a difference that makes for your mood, for your energy. The brain fog starts to lift, your motivation increases, and you realize it doesn't have to be so big and so hard. And it's a really fun, cool feeling to just embrace and to experience.
yeah. Well, one of the first things that hit me when you and I first met was your whole approach to weight loss doesn't have to be such a drudgery, that the process of improving our health doesn't have to be so heavy, like you were saying a few minutes ago, that we can actually get this, listeners, we can actually enjoy the process. It can actually be fun. And I love the idea that you were talking about too, about connecting with other ladies who are in the same journey, because iron sharpens iron. We can encourage each other, and that adds to the fun too. So now you're showing up for someone else, they're showing up for you, and it just becomes kind of this contagious energy where we're all enjoying the journey of improvement. And it doesn't have to be perfection, just improvement.
Yes, absolutely. And don't get me wrong, this isn't to say that you can't set goals. I guess what I want to say is it's a continual process.
Mm.
Even still to this day, I have times where I fall out of balance, depending on what's going on in my life. The good thing is that I'm now in a position where I have a lot more tools in my tool belt and a lot more years of experience that I can get on track faster than I once could. And I can do it faster than my clients in some of the areas that they're struggling. But, it still happens. It absolutely still happens. I can allow myself to go out to parties, holiday gatherings, or just a dinner with a friend. And I could eat dessert. I can have, a fried appetizer. And I know, yes, this is not high in nutritional value. I recognize that. But I also recognize that I like the taste of this, or I want to share this with this person. And I know how to balance the scales now. And what a freeing feeling it is to be able to do all of those things and not feel like I'm a prisoner,
Mm.
not like I have to fear food or fear going out. There's such a freedom in that. And if anybody is out there and they're feeling that it's so hard to get out of that mentality, I want to give you hope that you absolutely can escape that. There is a way to move beyond that, and it's not too late. You're not too old. You haven't ruined your metabolism, and you're not doomed to be where you are forever. So it's all possible, and it's all there waiting for you.
Yeah. I want to re-say those things. I want to restate those for anyone listening. You're not too old. It's not too late. You did not ruin your metabolism. You are not hopeless. You have hope, and there is a path where you can get to the goal you want to get to and stay within a range that you want to stay in and live a life that you want to live. I love that very hopeful message, Jen. That's just beautiful. And I think one that we so all desperately need to be reminded of. I love the analogy, like I started with, of this house maintenance thing, because it's really easy for me to wrap my head around the fact that, yeah, I watered my plants a week ago, but now I have to water them again. And so if I can wrap my head around the fact that my home takes maintenance, then it's a little easier for me to understand that, yeah, my body does too. It's not like I'm never done. I'm never done with my maintenance of my health. It's a journey, and your journey's going to come and go. Sometimes the house is more dusty, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's cleaner and sometimes it's not. So, like you said, when you go out and you enjoy something you love to enjoy, great. Let yourself enjoy it. And just know the next day, then you got to dust a little bit on the inside of the body.
Yes, exactly. And, those things come in time. I really do believe that you become what you surround yourself with. So I think one of the most helpful things you can do, in addition, that I would encourage everybody who's listening, is to not make it bigger than it needs to be, to start small, simple habits. And then from there, you want to do those consistently and then celebrate. Very important, celebrate the wins, celebrate your success, pat yourself on the back. And also, you become what you surround yourself with. So when you start to see that, okay, I've got my coach who's helping me to shift my perspective and all of my thought processes, which were not really serving me very well. When I'm, feeling like, okay, how do I, let's say if you struggle with going to the gym or doing your workouts every day, instead of beating yourself up for it, let's give you some tools that help set up for success, right? So that might be setting your gym clothes out the night before, putting it right there where it's visible, having your bag ready to go. If it's, you know, I tend to overeat later in the day. Maybe the thing that you can focus on is making sure that you have breakfast in the morning. So you've got something that's nutritious in your body for fuel. So that way you're not so tempted to overeat because of all the different stressors that are hitting you from every angle during your workday, right? So when you are around people who give you these ideas and this inspiration, when it's in real time with the things you're working on, right? Because that's the way it will happen with my clients. I'll give them something to work on, and then they come back and they're like, yeah, but it didn't go so well, Jen. Here's where I went wrong, right? And
Mm,
so they're going through their roadblocks with me, and then my job is to help them see beyond,
mm,
right? So, okay, so this is how we're going to tackle that one. You can try it this way. And then they go back and they do it again. And it's like, oh, yeah, I didn't think about that. That worked. And so then we celebrate together. So it's not them trying to remember it on their own. They've got me in their corner. If they're in a group program, they've got other group members that are inspiring them and cheering them on. So it's just it's a really well-rounded, healthy way to approach weight loss. And I truly do believe that feeling good is something that should not be delayed. So
mm.
underneath my logo, GenFit, it says feel good, lose weight, because I could have gone the other way, lose weight, feel good. But I think that's what so many of us are programmed to do. And why wait? Why do we have to wait to feel good? Why do we have to delay our celebrations, our vacation, our just simply allowing ourselves to look in the mirror and say, you know what, Jen, you're doing good. You worked out today, you took care of yourself. I'm proud of you. And Lisa, I truly mean that is something that I do personally
Mm.
and that I encourage all of my clients and all of the listeners to start doing is give yourself a pat on the back. And if we're also talking about sharing and giving, not from an empty cup. It allows us to give more of ourselves, a better version of ourselves to
Mm,
people. But
right.
we're also modeling that behavior for our family members and our loved ones. Once we start to be able to embody those qualities, then we can begin to let that flow from us into other people and share that. And I think the world needs more of that.
Oh my goodness. I could not agree with you more. That's just amazing. I love it all. And I love your recommendation to look in the mirror and say, hey, Jen, you did it. Lisa, you did it. You did a great job today. Because I think that kind of self talk starts to crowd out the other negative self talk that happens. And that starts a shift in our mindset that can really allow us to accomplish amazing things. Like you said, little by little over time.
Yep. And you just nailed it right there by crowding out. So that is one of the key approaches in how I help people overcome their challenges and their roadblocks with weight loss is by crowding out. So we are focusing on those small wins and building them up so that eventually there's just not room anymore for those negative habits.
Mm.
And even if they should rear their ugly head, which they will, because
Right?
this is life. Um,
Mhm.
we have more tools in our tool belt that we can move past it much, much more quickly and with much greater ease.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I think, it all starts with awareness of how much we move, awareness of what kinds of things we're saying to ourselves. All of the wisdom that you have passed along, Jen, is just so brilliant because it starts with getting aware of what our starting point is and then starting to take a small action. You have an amazing coaching practice, the Gen Fit Health Coaching, but you also have the Body Confident Blueprint that you offer on occasion. Tell us a little bit what that program is.
So the 360 Body Confident Blueprint is designed to be basically a well-rounded, holistic approach to weight loss. So it's 16 weeks, and I will help you overcome weight loss to the point of, I say the average would be 20 to 30 pounds over that time period.
Mm,
But it will look different for everybody, depending on where you're starting off. It may be a little bit more, it may be a little bit less, but it's a 16-week journey and we will have different phases. So there's 3 phases to the program. And in the first phase, we're kind of giving you that foundation where we're helping you to move more, giving you guidance with your workouts, some parameters around nutrition, but nothing that's too heavy. So I really understand that each person is an individual and it should not be a cookie cutter program. So it's not. So when I'm sitting down in whether you want to call it a discovery or a consultation, when I'm sitting down with people and I'm learning about them, I'm making notes and looking at, okay, what have their experiences been? And then where do they want to go? I know that they're on this call with me to lose weight, but I need to factor in where they're starting off. So if there's injuries to take into account, if there's a lot of mindset blocks that are keeping somebody from moving forward, that's gonna all come into play with how I'm setting that foundation. But we're going to basically build a solid foundation in that first phase. So let's just say the first month or so. And then from there, we're going to fine tune. We're going to start to go into other areas. Maybe it's sleep. Maybe it's mindful eating. Maybe it's more of the emotional eating that a person might struggle with.
mm,
It may be the social factors of if somebody travels a lot for work. So we're going to start to look at those aspects. How do I dine out? How do I go to these business meetings without sacrificing my personal health goals?
right.
Uh, or if it's the housewife who's, making kid meals, and how do I keep myself from grabbing the chicken nugget? So, it may be more of those social type things that we're going to tackle.
Okay.
And then in the last phase, we're really fine tuning and focusing more on how do I adopt these skills for the rest of my life? How do I move into a maintenance phase or into the next level where I'm going out into the world and I'm taking vacations and I'm indulging in more meals. I got more freedom because I'm in a place where I'm feeling more body confident. And well, let's be honest, this is our nature as Christians. It's very easy to lean on God when we're going through really big challenges and struggles.
Hmm.
But when times are good, it's very easy to fall by the wayside and to forget. So trying to build that habit of needing God and also relying on those tools that are in our tool belt all the time, not just emergency use only. We gotta act fast,
Right. The
and put out the
tools,
fire.
exactly. Those tools make us more consistent and can keep us in that maintenance mode instead of having it be an emergency fire to put out every time.
Yes,
Got it.
yes.
Got it.
So that 16-week journey really factors in pretty much every aspect of life and is to some degree pretty darn customizable for each individual. There are some basics that just won't change, but I'm really looking to tailor it and to hold hands with whoever I'm helping, because I think when you have somebody who is with you, who can reach out to you and know that you're there and know that every time you come to the table, you've got something positive to give. You've got a way of helping to shift perspective and shed light on things that they just wouldn't have seen otherwise. In a book, in a cookie cutter program, you may get information, but you're not going to get that customized hand-holding coaching experience that the 360 Body Confident Blueprint will provide.
Right.
So I do believe that makes all the difference.
Absolutely. Because that's what takes it from knowing to doing.
Yep.
And that's the bridge that so many of us need to cross, is to take all that great knowledge you know and now apply it in your life consistently while you're enjoying it, while you're having a good time. Surrender to the process and get yourself across that bridge so you're over into a consistent maintenance process instead of the constant battle and fighting the fires like, oh my goodness, I got a vacation in three weeks, I got to lose 20 pounds, something
Yeah.
like that. So well, it has been such a pleasure to have you on the program, Jen. So many nuggets of wisdom here. I just know it's going to be very encouraging for people listening. Before we wrap up, I want to make sure people know where to find you. So could you share with us your website or how people will locate you?
Sure. So you can find me at my website, which is genfit.com, social media, the GenFit Life, and that's YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook as well.
Okay.
And I really encourage you, if you have been struggling to lose weight, or if it's not even about weight and you want to transform your health and wellness. I've helped so many people change their blood work, just, you know, turn diabetes around, whether it's arthritis symptoms and easing them. There's so many different ways that I would be able to help you, that I would encourage you, if you have been struggling with taking action or you've been sitting on the sidelines, I really want to encourage you to just reach out to me and get on a call and let's just talk. Let's just talk through whatever struggle you're experiencing. And I will be happy to help you find actionable solutions. And if I believe that I'm not the right fit, this is a no pressure thing. That's just not who I am. I genuinely am here to help you. And if it's not me, I will gladly tell you that I don't think it's a good fit and help point you in the right direction. I have a lot of knowledge and experience and know a lot of different people in the industry and can help point you in the right direction. But I think talking with somebody who's been there, done that is invaluable in your journey.
Yes,
And
I
you
can
owe
attest.
it to yourself to do that.
Yes, you do. You do owe it to yourself. Thank you. Oh my goodness, Jen. I can absolutely attest to your genuine, authentic nature, your authentic desire to help people and just to really take people out of their stuck and get them onto a path that's really helping them feel like that life is joyful and exciting again for them, that they can feel confident in their own skin again. And so absolutely. Before we wrap up, maybe just one final question for you. Again, I'm so excited about all the things that you've shared. I'm sure there's somebody out there going, yeah, right. Well, I've been there, tried that, done that. Do you have one small thing that they can either do or one small encouragement that you would give them for that person who's just, here we go again, another New Year's coming up and I'm still stuck or I'm stuck again? Anything that you might give that person to encourage them?
Yes, I think the very first thing that comes to mind is to take action. Get up off of your seat, go stand in front of the mirror, look at yourself, and with genuine love, in your eyes with that softness and say, you are worthy. You are worthy of the dreams and the desires that are in your heart. And God put these dreams in our heart for a reason. And it isn't because He's wanting to deny us of that, but He does want us to lean on Him, to take action. And I think just don't be afraid to start or start over again. Don't give up on yourself. Just take that first step. And maybe that first step is picking up the phone and reaching out to me, or maybe it's doing something for yourself. Just doing something that will help you get the ball rolling and create some action. So I would say movement. Move your body throughout the day, whether that means taking the furthest spot in the parking lot
Mm.
and walking a little bit further, or if it means tracking your movement, your steps, and you're trying to go a little bit above where you normally are, drinking a little bit more water, whatever one feels good to you, choose it and start with it for a week or two and just make a note of how you're feeling. And I mean, literally make a note, say it out loud to yourself, write it down, and don't be afraid to express gratitude for just the strength to even start again, gratitude for the opportunity to be able to move your body, that we have a choice to be able to drink clean, purified water here,
Mm.
and
Mhm.
all of these things are available to us. So really just start simple, but start.
I love that. That is such good advice. Jen, thank you so much for being with us today and sharing your wisdom. I think we're going to have you back like after first quarter, just as a reset, help people refresh their goals and see how they're doing on their maintenance plan. But thank you again, sincerely, from the bottom of my heart. You're just a beautiful soul, and I love your heart to want to help other women to get to those goals, to accomplish those dreams. So thank you.
You're most welcome. Thank you so much for having me, Lisa.
Jen has such an easygoing way about her and is really inspiring to talk with. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. I have 5 amazing takeaways for you today. Number 1, the head game. Some people call it the imposter syndrome. Some people just call it the head game or the challenge of getting into the zone. But we've all experienced it at some point in our lives. It's that nagging little voice in the back of your head that says, "Who are you to tell anyone how to do this? Look at you. You'll never get there." Man, is that an annoying voice. Even Jen, when she started out, had all the training she needed, but still felt like she wasn't good enough to really help her clients improve, even when she was helping them. So it's important that we learn to recognize that voice that is trying to hijack our dreams and keep that voice in check. Don't let that voice derail the good you can do for yourself or for others. So I'll just remind anyone listening, you are capable and you do have value to offer others. You can do it. You will do it. So just watch out, little voice. You're wrong. Get out of the way and watch us soar. Number 2, don't make it harder than it has to be. You really can enjoy the journey. But if you believe that something's hard, it's going to be a lot harder than it needs to be. What if you adopted a different approach? What if you remind yourself that you're making improvements every day and you deserve to feel good? Love yourself and enjoy the journey. Allow yourself a little breathing room, that you don't have to be perfect. Just those consistent baby steps of progress is all you need. When you do that, the load gets a little lighter and things start to become easier. And then you can really start to enjoy the journey. Don't let that scale dictate your mood, and don't make it harder than it has to be. Number 3, establish your team. Having someone with you on the journey, a coach, a trainer, or a good friend, is a great way to stay on track. They can help you see what you don't see. They can also help you celebrate the small wins along the way. And of course, having God on your team will be the ultimate game changer. Who knows your body better than the one who created it? Knowing God and knowing who He is and His promise for us helps us through every single roadblock or pothole that comes into our path. Through Christ, all things are possible. When you can't, He can. So it's okay. Let yourself be a little vulnerable. Become a little bit humble and surrender your goals to God. Let Him fight the battle you're tired of fighting. With God, a good friend, or a coach, you'll have a winning team that will help you reach your goals and maintain them consistently. Number 4, celebrate the little wins, no matter how simple or how small. In fact, let those little wins propel you into greater and greater accomplishments. Jen reminds us that the little wins build momentum. Not everything you do has to be huge to call it a success. Be humble and adopt a coachable mindset. And then those little wins become your daily key to consistency. And consistency is where we become most powerful. And number 5, use the strategy of crowding out. Jen and I didn't dive too deep into this, but it's such a great strategy. I wanted to give you just a quick overview here. Use crowding out to make sure that you get the things in your day that really matter most. This strategy helps you maintain a life of balance and allows you to build consistency without feeling like you're depriving yourself of all the fun stuff. And what I mean by crowding out is, before you have the soda, have a glass of water. You might find after the water that you don't really need the soda. Before you eat the potatoes and the French fries, eat the vegetables. You might find you don't have room to eat all of those French fries. Before you have dessert, get that workout in. Use it as a reward. You might find out after the workout, we don't really want that dessert. Crowding out lets you simply reprioritize and do the things you know you need to do before you get to enjoy the things you want to enjoy. It's remarkably effective to help you overcome bad habits and adopt a healthier lifestyle without feeling like you're totally missing out at the things that you really love. Hey friends, as we wrap up today, I have 2 scriptures to support the conversation. The first one comes from 1 Corinthians 10:31. Therefore, whatever you eat or drink, or whatever you do, do all to the glory of God. And the second one comes from 1 Corinthians 6:19-20. Don't you realize that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit who lives in you and was given to you by God? You do not belong to yourself, for God bought you with a high price. So you must honor God with your body. Thank you, friends, for listening or watching today. Please share this episode. You just never know what encouragement might be in this conversation that someone you know needs to hear. So pass it along, share it, like it, and please subscribe. Let's together flood the world with more encouragement. Until next time, stay encouraged, be inspired, and we'll see you back here next time at the Sunshine Cafe.